It's of course DJ Ash Noble here. Now, it's been a little bit of a while, I think, since we did the last stream. I did one, I think it was about a week and a half ago, something like that. And yeah, been a little bit of time. So I'm back with two big announcements today because this week I have had the excitement of making two announcements. Now, one of them is a little bit more related to like DJing and everything along that side. The other announcement is something that is pardon, sorry, I've got a really bad cough. So the other announcement is still a music related announcement. It's just not fully music related, but when I say, I guess what I'm trying to say is the other announcement is not to do with like DJing or making music or anything that like really you follow me on this channel for. It is still music related. So yeah, we'll get into that as we go along. Now, they're both exciting. They both come at a time when I really needed them. Like I'm proper, you know, like they've come at that right time where they were needed, you know, like there hasn't been a lot of good times lately, and there is now some exciting things again on the horizon as well. Technically, there's 3 announcements. I put 2 in the title, but there is another announcement as well that I will share in this video, and then once this has gone live I will edit the title so it does say 3 big announcements. But the first one that I'm really pleased to share with you is I have accepted a DJ residency in the Book in Driffield, the pub, the Book in Driffield. Now, for people who have followed this channel for quite a long time, you'll know that Driffield was the town where I grew up. It was the place where I was born. Well, I was actually born partly in Castle Hill, which is just outside of Hull, Castle Hill Hospital. But I lived in Driffield. I grew up in Driffield. Driffield was my hometown for a good sort of 21, 22 years. And basically, like to go when I got booked to go back there and do like the clubland nights in the Book, it was like a little bit of a, for me it was a little bit of a eye-opening sort of just a bit of a like full circle moment to be going back to the town where it kind of all started for me. It was in Driffield where the music journey very much started. The bedroom in my grandparents' house. So to kind of come back to that town and then perform in that town, that was kind of like a little bit of a full circle moment for me, and I was very excited to do that. So I've gone back and done a couple of like the clubland nights now, which have gone down really well as a treat. And yeah, this year I have been I've been asked to do a residency inside the Book and play every Friday and every Saturday for 3 weeks to start with. So to cut the long story short, a friend of mine called Alex, cut the long story short, he recently started doing the music in the pub, the karaoke, the handling all the music. Was actually pretty damn good at it, to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. And they sort of said, look, do you want to make this a regular thing? So he was like, damn right, I want to make it a regular thing. However, next week he actually goes out of the UK and he goes travelling, and he's not in the UK for 3 weeks. So while he's obviously not in the UK, they have been talking like him and the pub, and like, you know, who's gonna kind of like continue the vibe, and who's gonna kind of like you know, keep these nights going that have like become, you know, quite good in literally just like a couple of weeks. So cutting the long story short, they drafted me in to do 3 weeks while Alex is away, and then he's going to be back sort of early April, and then we are gonna basically, like, when he comes back, like, it isn't just goodbye me. I'm gonna be sticking around, and we're gonna kind of like share the rota, and we're going to kind of do it together. So like, he'll do some weekends, I'll do some weekends. He will do some maybe like where he does the Friday and I do the Saturday. It might be vice versa. So essentially we are just going to kind of like wing it around each other and like do some like kind of like different things, and then basically just like bring a really, really good vibe, hopefully. Now I'm always like one of those type of people that like, I like when something first like happens, I can get very excited in a short space of time, and I'm known for doing it quite often, where like I'll somewhat get overexcited. So I've already been thinking of like ideas and like how I can kind of like go that extra mile, and how I can kind of like, you know, because I almost feel like, you know, like I'm there to play music, but at the same time I'm there to put on like a damn good night, and I kind of feel like you know, a way that I like to do that is to like think of like ideas and things we can do that can like make the nights more interesting. So I've already been like thinking about ideas and like different things that we could do. You know, like maybe doing like every so many weeks doing like a themed night, which would be like a really, really cool thing. So we could do like, you know, they're not, it's not a new thing, like, you know, there's probably a lot of places that do it, but you could maybe like, you know, like the last weekend of the month, like on the Saturday, you could maybe do like, for example, like a 90s theme night, and then like all the music that's played, it can be like, you know, stuff from the 90s, and it can, you know, it can be like a 90s dance party, you know, and it can play everything from the 90s R&B into like some 90s hip hop, into like, you know, I guess like the 90s dance, you know, that sort of thing. And then basically, you know, you could do like something completely different the following month, and you know, it could be like that you do like an 80s night, and then everything you play is like 80s pop and, you know, 80s rock, and you know, and just do some like really, really cool stuff essentially, that I think would like work really well. You know, I think like just doing some really, really cool bits and bobs like that would really like just give something a bit more people to look forward to, something happening like at the end of every month that is like a little bit different to, you know, if you was to like, you know, like go out that weekend, like, you know, when it's kind of like the pay weekend as well, people get paid, people, you know, go on a night out kind of thing. But you know, that's just that's just me like thinking of like, I I do apologize, thinking of like just possible stroke potential ideas that may or may not work. You know, it might work, it might not work. They might just go like, you know, shut the fuck up, Noble. You know, you don't know, but I just feel like, you know, it's always good to put ideas forward, and you know, and ways that I can maybe like, you know, do my best to give the best atmosphere on a weekend when people obviously like walk in there, and stuff like that. So super looking forward to it, really, really proper looking forward to it, not gonna lie. It's really exciting. It's gonna take me ever so slightly out of my comfort zone, because like I don't normally do a lot of You know, a lot of the stuff I do is like I'm playing like a bounce set, or I'm doing a hardcore set, or you know, I'm playing a clubland night, which, you know, I'm gonna bring some of that to you know, this residency. Like, I am gonna, like, you know, play clubland stuff maybe a little bit later on. However, like, you know, there's so many other genres that I am gonna hit and have a good time doing so. And this is the bit that I am looking forward to. You know, like, that I'm gonna get to play like stuff that I don't usually get to play, but it's stuff that, you know, I do maybe necessarily do enjoy it. So yeah, really looking forward to it. So next week, as I have mentioned on some previous streams, I've got a memorial event there in memory of my dad, who unfortunately passed away. We're doing like a full rave night for him, playing like clubland, bounce, house, trance, hard house, all of that kind of stuff. Really, really exciting stuff that I'm gonna play on that night, of course. And really, really looking forward to that. That is going to be absolutely wicked. And then that is going to kind of kick off my residency in the pub itself, you know. So sort of from that weekend onwards, I am going to be in that pub for 3 weeks back to back, definitely indefinite, which will take it to like early April. And then in early April, I don't know if I've announced it here on YouTube yet, but we have a booking in Chorley for Bounce Radiant that is on the Friday night. So I will be in Chorley on, I think it's the second week of April. I'll be going over to Chorley to play Bounce Radiant, which I'm really super looking forward to doing that. That is going to be a shed load of fun. Really can't wait to do that. So I won't be about that night, and then I guess it just like kind of depends what time I will be, like, you know, heading back on the Saturday. And then if I am needed, then I will be back there on the Saturday in the book. If not, then I'll just, you know, not do that weekend. And then I will just like literally, you know, maybe go back to foot. But, you know, it all just depends. That I know of at the moment, I'm doing 3 weeks indefinite, like they're kind of back to back. And then once Alex comes back, then that's going to be when, you know, we'll sort of like toss and turn and, you know, work out like how we're going to do things, and how we're gonna kind of like keep the nights going, and you know, maybe like we do one night each or something, you know, who knows. You know, we might even do some nights together. He'll do so many hours and then I'll take over, you know, and it should be really, really fun. I am like genuinely looking forward to it because again, it's a full circle moment. I'm back in the town where I grew up, and you know, I'm back where you know, like, just proper, really buzzed, you know, that it's, you know, happening. Really, really buzzed that it's happening. So that is the first announcement. Second announcement is the one that I said wasn't really too much like DJ related as such, but it's still, nevertheless, it's still exciting. So I have been offered a job with the Gig Buddies and the Nice Twice Club. Now, if you don't know about them or what they are, I've spoken loads about them on the channel in the past, and they are basically like, I've been volunteering with them for about 4 years nearly now, and it all started just by myself, just my boss. So for those who don't know, I have a job in as a youth worker, and I run like a music project for an organisation called the Goodwin, and when I first started at the Goodwin, I hadn't been in the job very long, and these emails regarding like an open access chat meeting had been kind of like circling around in emails, and a little bit of it was like music related. So my boss was like, it would be good, you know, to attend this meeting, and obviously, you know, go check it out, and you know, represent, you know, that you're from the Goodwin, you know, you're doing this music project, might be a way to link in. So me at the time, I was obviously new to this job. I'd never, you know, I'd been in this job long, wanted to do like everything, you know, every single thing in every single way that I could, to do a good impression. So like, you know, that, you know, I'd continue to have a job, and basically I went to this meeting, and I instantly fell in love with the vibe. I fell in love with the people. They just all seemed like really nice, and they were just all kind of like really proper, like, you know, somebody. You know, I thought, you know what, I love this vibe. So the first meeting I went to was in October. I started my job in the August. It was late August. It was like the last week of August that I started my job with them. So I'd been probably working about 4 or 5 weeks max. And then it was like, oh, why don't you check out this meeting? So I went to this meeting, and then, like I say, fell in love with the vibe. So these meetings were like the second Tuesday of every month, you know. So I was like, I'm coming back to the next one. Now, the first one, I couldn't stay because it was on the week that it was, it was basically on the week that Hull Fair was taking place, and I was DJing Hull Fair. So I couldn't do it. So I had to, like, you know, because there was a meeting, but then after the meeting, there was like a music gig that took place. I couldn't stay. I was already like DJing the waltzers. So I had to make a dash, but then obviously, like, the following month there wasn't, you know, the whole fair was, you know, it wasn't on. So anyway, so I obviously I knew I was going back, and then this time I thought I'm going to stay a bit longer and stay and catch the gig, and then it was like, it was, you know, proper sick, and then I thought I'm going back in December, and then in December, one of the people that was kind of working there at the time was like, well, you know, we do another like music night, where you can get involved and jam, and we're in kind of like a little bit of a band. And then I was a little like, do you know what, I want to see what this is. And then I kind of went and sort of became a little bit of that, you know, that band for a while, the Sunflower Band, which I'm now no longer a member of, because the guy that was running that band, like, kind of no longer really, you know, works with the organisation anymore, and then I obviously, like, I enjoyed volunteering with the organisation. That was the main thing I'd obviously kind of done. Anyway, so cut the story short, over time I just gradually, like, got more and more involved in, like, the projects they were doing, till one day I think they said, like, you know, look, you know, would you like to become a volunteer? And then I think I was like, I'd love to become a volunteer. And then I just basically went to as many things as I could that they were doing, you know, open access meetings, events, music dues, getting involved, yeah. And then we started up a Gig Buddies band, and then I sort of, like, became a member of that. And then, like, there was just somewhere down the line where I just kind of, like, thought to myself, like, it would be sick if I could get a job, like, with this organisation. Like, they've become like a family to me. They've become, like, you know, people, like, I just really enjoy working with. I enjoy being around. We have a laugh. And then basically, you know, it kind of became a little bit of a, like, it'd be a goal, it'd be a dream come true. Now, with these type of goals, like, you can't guarantee that they're going to happen, because it all kind of like depends on funding, and then basically, like, funding, you're not always guaranteed to get funding, or funding will come through. They're funded jobs, and then this year, about a month ago, I got the opportunity where some funding had come through to do like a small job with them, a couple of hours a month that I could like work alongside my current job. And I was like, listen, look, I'm in, because when you get a little bit of funding, and I take this from experience, when you get a little bit of funding and you get a chance to do something, and it's something you actually want to do, like, like, I shit you not, if you get a bit of funding and you get a chance to do something and you really want to do it, do it. And the reason why I say do it is because it's a way of getting your foot in the door. So, like, my foot's now firmly in the door, like, with this organisation on like a working level. So, like, you're kind of at the next step, if that makes sense. And you sort of like, come on board with that funding, and then you can show them, like, regarding the work that you're doing is like, really good, and you are like literally like, really like, pushing the organization and all the projects and whatever it is you're working on. It makes the funders more interested in like wanting to fund you. So, like, if they can see outcomes of, like, the good work that's happening, and they can see that, like, look, they're putting these ideas forward, these ideas are working, so look, it's, they're doing what they say they're going to do, and what they say they're going to do is working, we want to fund that again. And then, it might be a case that they give you another 6 months funding, or they extend you by another year, and suddenly you get your foot in the door. And that's kind of like, that's just how it, like, from experience, like, that's just like how it can, like, quite often go. And funding, they can be very tight. There's a lot of times where, like, you don't necessarily, like, think you're going to get funded again, or for whatever reason, like, certain funders that you get funding with, what they require, they change what they require, and then suddenly there's like certain things that they funded you for before that they're now like, look, we won't fund for this anymore, or we're trying to sort of take this approach. And they want to do different things all the time. But if you are doing the best work possible, and you are like literally doing that sort of thing, then, like, you're on the right path, basically. If you don't get funded again, then you don't, but you have more chance of the funding being extended, like, that you've got your foot in the door, and this opportunity has arisen, and you are doing like the best work, basically. You're doing the best work that you can, essentially. So, with that being said, that is like the second announcement. So, it's nothing massive at the moment. Like, it's massive for me, but like, I'm just doing like a couple of hours a month, like, helping with this organization, doing a lot of the things I was already doing, and just doing a little bit more on top of that, and just kind of like being a proper, like, big kind of like help to them, I suppose, and being a good part of the team that like I really, really can't wait to be a part of, more in the future. So that is that. The final announcement is I've been a little quiet on the like music front lately, like, as in like what's coming out, and myself and the Layman, we have a track coming out called Push It. So the track's called Push It. It's a hardcore, like a happy hardcore, hard dance, real sort of fast, happy, energetic rave tune, that sounds really, really good. And we've teamed up with a vocalist from Hull, Zara Birch, who has sang some beautiful original vocals, and it's a really, really good track. The only way I can sort of describe the track is it's kind of about like when you've been like pushed and pushed and pushed to your limit, you become the best version of yourself. That is like one of the lyrics that you can hear in like one of the teaser clips. But it's just basically about like, you know, like you get pushed and pushed to like do better and be better. Then you become that better person. And it's a really, really good track. It's, you know, like it's a really, really cool track with a really cool meaning, that just basically like is really, really cool. So that is coming out on the 13th of March. It's going to land on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, all of that good stuff. So get yourselves prepared for it. You know, it's going absolutely everywhere and it's going absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really enjoyable track. So essentially, that is like what the actual score is, and then, you know, you'll be able to listen to it and stream it, play it, and stuff like that. And then there will be an extended version for DJs that we will put out, you know, probably in a couple of weeks' time from when you obviously hear the first bit. You know, when you know, a few weeks after, sorry, the first, you know, release has come out, a DJ one will drop. But for now, the radio edit is the one that's obviously going to come out first. And yeah, it's going to be really, really cool. So that is like the third announcement. And yeah, that is like pretty. That's it for now on the announcement side of things. Really excited for like what is to come. The residency in the book is like really exciting for me because I just basically get to do what I love like every weekend and play music. Whereas like, you know, that is just something I absolutely love. And you know, I can just express and play so many different styles of music, and you know, take people and show people a different side to me that isn't just me playing a bounce set, and stuff like that. And yeah, really, really looking forward to that. Now, in terms of like bounce music, so obviously I've been known and I am known for writing a lot of bounce music. I'm thinking potentially in the future, I want to make a website for myself. So I actually saw an artist that had one today, and it kind of like really inspired me. So I want to have a website where I can like basically like, I guess in a way it is kind of like illegally sell music. But basically I want a website that is for me. You can find out information about me, where I'm playing. You can book me, and you could preview all of my tracks on the website. And you can buy the tracks essentially. So like I will put like all my like official music on there. But then I might just have like a page that'll maybe have like bootlegs on it. Like it'll just be a page titled bootlegs, and then like there'll be just maybe like some free downloads on there. There'll be maybe be like the odd one that you can maybe just like purchase for like, you know, purchase for like £1 or something. And then like, you know, we'll have like a main page, and it'll have all the like official releases, and, you know, like where to find them on all the streaming platforms. And then that way, you know, the website isn't just necessarily like, oh, this is a website about me just putting bootlegs out. And that's not what it's about, but it is about that at the same time. Like, you know, like I don't want the bootlegs to be like the main focus of the website, but I do want it to be like just a place where I can just basically dump like the music that isn't getting an official release as well, and just have like a page where, you know, I can just like literally maybe put like some like bootleg EPs up and stuff like that. And you know, like I normally give some tracks away at Christmas, so like just a way I can do that essentially. But with that being said, that is going to do it for this stream. Because I have got a bad cough. So make sure to like, comment, share, all of that good stuff, and we'll see you soon. Oh. Does it? What the hell? Playables.